dead. They're all messed up. All messed up.
You wouldn't give her that flower, would you?
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
The Agent Aquarius,
Yes,
the Flower Children.
in triplicate. I don't know if I have a problem with astrology or not. I think I have a problem with some people who practice astrology, but it's completely removed from astrology itself. I just don't like those people, like the essential oils and all that.
Those people.
Those people. I think it's okay to say that in this context, right?
A little beef tallow on the skin doesn't hurt as much, keeps the skin smooth. I just don't put it in a basket and lower it down the hole, it's above.
It's whoa. Okay. I had a whole mental image there lowering down the hole. Beef tallow is not an essential oil. It is essential to life. It's not an essential oil. But all right, guys, welcome to Xenomania. Tonight we're going to talk about Fright Night Part 2 and Part 2, the 2011 version, which we all loved.
Oh no, we did not.
No, we didn't. You're gonna hear some surly John and some really upstarty Ryan with regard to that movie.
I feel like I was going through a seizure through a couple of the scenes, and even just the ending, I felt like I had a seizure moment. And then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do sonic bat sounds and through the view of the bat through the vampire." I'm like, "Yeah, this is great." And I'm like, "No, I'm having a seizure right now." All the other video games I've played over the years with the seizure warning, never had a seizure. This movie almost puts me in the hospital.
Ryan is absolutely right. You feel like you're on the verge of some catastrophic brain hemorrhage during the 2011 movie. John, what are your first thoughts?
I'll give you a little behind the scenes. I take notes while I'm watching movies. By the end of Fright Night 2 New Blood, my notes were just bad lines from the movie.
That's actually a good way to go about it.
They just come fast and furious in the last 20 minutes. It's like whoever wrote it just gave up at the end.
I always wonder about that, like midlife crisis. Is his wife leaving him? Is it a cocaine binge? There's something happening in the writer's room, and I want to know the symptom when it's something like that.
It was the production company, Touchstone Pictures, wanted to rush the film quickly because 2011 was a success. So they rushed it out within a week. And in 2 months, they had to revise it before they started filming in November, which, if you really go into it, was another disaster. Not because they're filming in Romania, but the problem is it was negative 15 degrees and going further down. So it was like cameras were seizing, the actors and film crew were cold, and it was like they were just going through it. Plus the whole idea of it being a remake of the 85 one, the 2011 one, as well as the 88 one, because after watching the 88 one today, there are certain scenes in this new one that they include too. And I'm like, this is just another ripoff of a great movie. Like, why?
The cherry picking stuff. I like the correlation, by the way, to the camera equipment seizing up, leading eventually to you seizing up while watching the film. There's some poetry going on there. I like it.
It was like watching the Mr. Sparkle episode from The Simpsons with some of the scenes. And that didn't even infuse a seizure, even though they said that too.
You were digging into your sack of references tonight. I'm loving it, man.
Oh,
Mr. Sparkle is in here.
This movie got me, and John warned us. He was like, this ain't going to be a fun time at the fun park. Beverly Hills Cop 3 was better, and I hate that movie.
That's fair.
That's fair.
I got a little up in arms there for a second, and then I heard the word 3, and I was like, okay, the number came out. All right.
No,
right,
you can't
I'll
throw
take some deep
you
breath.
can't throw shade at number 2 with the alphabet murders. Come on now.
All right, I'll make it harder for you then.
All right.
Fright Night 2 New Blood, or we'll stick with Eddie Murphy, Norbit.
I'll take Norbit with Rasputia. Rasputia.
Is that for a better film, a better time, or is that for a worse film, worse time, Norbit? I just need to be clear.
Whichever way you want to interpret that.
I think that's exactly the way Norbit's going to take you, whichever way it's going to go. It's going to find an orifice and make its way in.
Her milkshake did not bring the boys to the yard, or his, I should say. Oh, Unfunny Nutty Professor.
Norbit was, yeah, it was so bad. The Nutty Professor wasn't all that either. It was funny at the time, but passably funny. It wasn't a great film. Norbit is horrific. It's better than, no, it's worse than Flubber.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty bad. I think Fright Night, New Blood wins just because it was interesting to watch, at least.
Well, with the history, I like the whole fact that they included a Jerry Dandridge character to be Bartley, who was a serial killer in like the late 1800s, who would take her victims.
Elizabeth Bathory.
Bathory, okay.
Elizabeth Bathory. She sounds like a good final mistake to make.
One of the original serial killers, actually. She would take her victims, young women, hang them upside down, cut their throats, and bathe in their blood in order to keep her youth, so to say. She was featured in American Horror Story Coven with Kathy Bates playing as her, which awesome for American Horror Story.
I like that season.
I was going to say for this movie, not so much.
Now you have to do that character right. I thought that was based off of a real queen who did that. I thought that there was an actual queen who used to have virgins brought in and she would murder them. And
She was
bathe
a
in their blood.
countess.
Yeah.
A countess. not a
Elizabeth,
queen.
yep.
Oh, so this is the same person. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I had like this Victorian sort of, lady who was bathing in blood in my head. Countess is a little different. Not much, but a little.
But I mean, bathing in blood is what we call Tuesday night in my house.
Oh, well, you got to make sure you get to those deep spots.
Yeah.
That's how you cleanse them.
It renews the skin.
It platelet-rich plasma. I might as well get it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
I still prefer the basket treatment. Just saying.
Can you illuminate the audience on what the basket treatment is?
It's the Buffalo Bill reference when he's
Are you talking about the basket from Silence of the Lambs?
Yes.
It puts the lotion
in the basket. Yes.
You think of her in Hostel, they play around with this too, where the woman's in the tub and she uses a scythe when the women are above her and slices them open that way. That was a tough scene for me to watch at the time, and I'm even more squeamish now.
Just the Achilles scene.
So,
and nope, never again that movie.
Ever since Pet Cemetery, screw that noise. That's the worst injury to watch in a film, I think.
Speaking about Pet Cemetery, there was a list I found of Herman Munster. I'm skipping on his real name. I apologize, but he's just going road.
Fred Gwynn.
Jeez. He's just saying road the entire time from that movie, and it's like how many times he said it, and it's just road. You got to go to the road. Avoid the road. It's like
it's that damn road.
The foreshadowing.
Stay away from that damn road. You're not from here, are you? We're Mainers up here. You're Yankees down there. That's the way he talks the whole movie.
It was just basically my cousin Vinny. It's like after he retired as a judge, he goes through Pet Cemetery.
That's his punishment for how he treated Pesci. For his racism against Italians.
It's the suit.
Gee. Yeah.
And Marissa Tomei.
In true us fashion, we're 10 minutes in and we barely talked about the topic of the episode, which is Fright Night. So let's talk about Fright Night 2. Came out in 2011. And another example of them not having an original idea, trying to recycle old ones. I don't know of many of these that have hit, especially the recycled horror movies. I'm pretty sure most of them have been at least passably failures. If that makes any sense. Passable failures, like even the good ones. I'm thinking of the Hellraiser one that had entertainment value. What Ridley Scott's doing with the Xenoverse is different. It's sort of like they're doing with Star Wars. They're not really remakes, but there's homages that make it feel like remakes. Romulus. That was tough. That was a tough swallow. So these remakes aren't really hitting, and we watch this one, and the gentlemen here have some strong feelings.
It was rough. Very rough. The only best thing was realizing Sean Power, who plays Peter Vincent, is in one of my favorite video games, Cyberpunk 27, Mr. Hands. If he gave a gig to Charlie, I could have given it more credit. But no, there's no saving this film. There's none at all. It's just a copy after a copy. And this is what's wrong with Hollywood.
Yeah. I thought he was in the 87 version, that guy.
Oh, Sean.
No?
Sean Power? No.
then I had the wrong guy in my head for the cyberpunk. John, what were you saying?
I mean, even the Peter Vincent character has just degraded from the beginning, where he's like this staid old movie host, and then he's Chris Angel in the Fright Night remake, and then this one, he's just a drunk dude hanging out in a strip.
Yeah, which is very 2011 of him, by the way.
If you weren't drunk at a strip bar in that time period, what were you doing? Were you even living?
No, I don't think you were.
It just had 2000 movie vibes all over, and it's not even good 2000 movie vibes. It's the shitty kind, and it's just rolled all over.
It really is a tough hang. And I started watching it right after finishing the Fright Night 2. We'll just call it Fright Night 2. And that movie is entertaining. We can just go through the actor role real quick, because I was geeking out texting the guys about, I was like, oh my God, I remember this one and this one and this one and stuff, because I hadn't seen these people in forever. I got the wife wrong from Total Recall, I think. And it's actually the girl from In the Mouth of Madness that's in Fright Night 2 as like the baddie. And then the homage characters, the Fright Night host, he's in everything, isn't he?
Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in tons and tons and tons of stuff.
I think I've seen him everywhere. He's one of those actors you see in a movie and you just know you've seen him at least 50 times. You just don't know exactly where. Well, John and Ryan do, but muggles like me don't. And then Ryan brought up one of the great ones too, Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico. It looks like Clint Howard if he was like a couple years younger, I would say, just with longer hair and stuff. Actually, like if you look at him, I'm thinking of like The Last Crusade, the main villain after he gets the Holy Grail and his hair is just all long. It's actually him, but it's just a little fuller of a face and black hair.
There's also no muscle tone in like anybody in that. And they're half naked. Late 80s thing where you just had to be passively skinny with no lines in your body and you were considered fit. Like he crawls out of the bush naked and he's just like, looks like Gumby. It's funny. But like we're going into a little bit of the star power and the one we liked real quick. And I kind of let it run into that direction just to showcase how much star power is in the one we hated. And it's pretty much none, right?
None.
No.
None. I don't think a single person involved in that movie was in anything that I ever saw.
Before or after, which is odd too. It didn't destroy a career. It didn't create a career.
I was going to say the only one that was noticeable was Matt Venn. He was the screenwriter.
Matt Venn?
Matt Venn.
Venn?
Venn.
Where? Venn?
Matt Venn.
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 Matt Venn.
Oh, Matt Venn. After this disaster, he only did two things. He's done Masters of Horror episode from that called Pelt, as well as a Creepshow episode called The Companion, which I heard good reviews on, but Matt Venn, I don't know what the hell happened with this. Plus, the director, Eduardo Rodriguez, his quote was, we can make this like James Bond and we can have the actors return, do a different story, and repeat. No, you can't. No, it's a whole different genre. This is not action adventure. And what he did to Evil Ed is a travesty.
Yeah, Evil Ed is not even recognizable. He goes from like this little nerdy guy to like a square-headed.
He's a dick.
They turn him into an actual ghoul, right? Essentially,
Yeah.
like a blockheaded ghoulish thing. Yeah. And Ryan speaks of Evil Ed with reverence. With reverence. Quotes him. Especially since we started watching Fright Night. He's quoting him at work.
I love the character. When you're a kid and you see from the part where Jerry Dandridge, like as I said last episode, crashes through the window and you see it from there, and in your head before you go to the school bus is, you're so cool, Brewster, with the red eyes. It just doesn't leave you. AMC Fright Fest, please bring it back, please, or just do it on Shudder exclusively.
That'll work.
My note on Ed is just Ed. They made him annoying. Ed is just annoying now. He's not fun. He's not even McLovin. He's just annoying.
Would have an ID.
Such another reason to hate the remake. Yeah, the ID. What would his even say?
The Charlie actor,
For the love of God.
he was a bitch too in the film. He just like at the end,
Oh.
he turns into a vampire and he's all tough. Screw that. Charlie in the original was tough from the get go. This one, oh, let me fix my hair. Amy, I didn't cheat on you. You did cheat on her. It's obvious. You put in the context of the script. You're a scumbag, Charlie. This version, at least.
How does it end?
Horribly.
Horribly. I think we're about 30 minutes into the movie, and I know it's not going to be redeemed when they use correctamundo as cool slang.
In 2011.
Yeah, that wasn't cool when Fonzie was saying it. It was only cool because it was the Fonz.
Correctamundo.
Correctamundo.
He didn't even use that when I was a kid.
It was rad.
No.
Like if they used rad, it would have been
Rad?
better. Rad.
I
Rad.
mean, yeah,
Rad,
you could have
really.
gone
Rad would
with
have been okay. If you were in like Cali, like on Venice Beach, rad. If you guys have a medicinal marijuana card, that would be rad.
It says McDouche.
Thing on it. Boom. All the cannabis you can smoke. No, I think proper slang for 2011 is, Gucci and things like that.
Yeah.
Right? Fire. Like we're way beyond
God.
rad at that point.
I forgot about fire.
Fire. It's fire. Yo, turn up.
I think I all the dialect for real.
Yeet was not
purpose.
yet.
No, yeet came
We had
later.
not yet yeeted. We had yet to yote. Yeet should stay timeless. For some reason, I like yeet. I don't
Yeet's
use
pretty
it, but I
good.
enjoy seeing it. Yeah, I see it and written. I don't like to hear it. I like to read it. Posts. That one's pretty good. Oh, they used Correctamundo. That was it for John. He closed the door right there. 31 minutes in, Correctamundo. This movie sucks.
It wasn't coming back after Correctamundo. And then like you get towards the end and they just start coming with these bad lines. Kiss the cross, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bleeding is believing.
Why not turn that into a crisscross reference? Like, come on, guys. Let's get this done properly. You're not going to get nailed on trademark for that. Aren't they all dead? The rights holders don't care.
Daddy Mac will make you jump.
Nah, that's funny. Oh, man. So there's like literally nothing to do for that movie but to shit on it, right?
Absolutely. Ed is like, when they turn Ed into a vampire, he kind of turns into off-brand Angel from Buffy. He's just kind of like not attractive David Boreanaz at that point.
Those two things don't belong in the same sentence, as far as I'm concerned.
They do.
Unattractive and Dave Boreanaz. Nope.
He's not slaying anything tonight.
So they tried to do that, and they were going for the sexy vampire stuff, which makes sense. They were trying to ride that WPIX wave of goodness, maybe, and they fell flat.
It was definitely sexy when she took off her robe, and it was an old woman, and it reminded me of The Shining as she dumped herself in the bathtub. Yep.
Bathtub filled with Vaseline and Ovaltine.
Lumpy Jerry Dandridge is not Jerry Dandridge. I mean, you have this big like scene in a church. The sun starts to come through and Jerry has to back off. And then they go outside and it's still night. So where did the sun come from?
That's a good point.
I don't know where the sun came from.
Stuff like that.
I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a scene where Ed is fighting Peter Vincent in a bathroom and they're in a stall. There's poop in that toilet. Gross.
I'm happy no one's head went in there. That would have been horrible.
The sound guy who just got out of there just in time before they started filming. He was like, don't say anything out loud. There's enchiladas in the craft cart today.
And the other thing that was driving me crazy was every vampire sounds like it talks like they have the plastic fangs in. Like instead of like a good set of prosthetic fangs, it just sounds like they got those like the cheap little plastic ones and stuck them in. Everybody talks like they got fangs.
Low budget teeth.
Their budget was so low. And I mean, that was the big complaint on the 88 one was the budget was low, as Tom Holland stated, but that budget was 10 times higher for an 80s film compared to a 2011. And they used plastic teeth in the 88 one as a prop for the characters to make fun of, which is ironic that in the 2011 one, they're using them and it just sucks.
Tonight I will bathe in the blood of a virgin.
Which one?
Whichever.
Whichever. My God. So before he gets arrested, the FBI are coming. Let's go into the actual one we enjoyed, the sequel to the original Fright Night, which it's not an easy movie to follow up, but it's not impossible given the time period and how they used to actually write scripts and had ideas for things. So Fright Night 2 opens up pretty solid 80s vibes, costumes, this set designs and everything. And we start off kind of not right away, but we get into a filming of an episode of Fright Night pretty quickly to set the stage. And then from there, things sort of take off and we get our little twist coming up later. And I was texting John as I was watching the beginning of it, John and Ryan watching the beginning of it. And there's some fun stuff. There's some fun stuff in the first hour of that movie.
Just
I like Charlie in therapy to overcome his fear of vampires and walking away believing that Jerry was really a serial killer.
Which is super cool because why not gaslight him at the beginning of the movie? Because you could totally do that to somebody, right? And I mean, I'm sure you could. You could deconstruct something like that in somebody's mind and make them believe they didn't see what they saw because nobody else believes them.
Especially when your therapist is a vampire.
Exactly.
when did he turn into a vampire is the question.
I think he was all along.
Oh, he was. Okay.
Who goes to therapy when the sun's down all the time now? Who's like, it's 8:45. I think I'm going to go hit up my therapy session. That's pajama pants hours, man. I'm not going to therapy.
It's after hours therapy.
So it takes a little ding on that one. We segue over to his leading lady in this one, his girlfriend, who's not in the first movie at all. And they seamlessly pull her into the second one, which is interesting. She's on board from the beginning. She was like, he saw vampires and he fought them. And they go right through, right?
She has a little tough time in the beginning,
She has her moments of disbelief.
and then she encounters Uncle Rico, and everything changes.
Well, the first encounter with Uncle Rico, he's peeping at her through her window, and then we see his only weakness is a window coming down on his 9-inch nails. It breaks him off. He grumbles about it after he hits the ground. He falls 2 stories into the bushes. And then we get to see shirtless Rico.
I did crack up when he was like, ouch, because I was like, what the hell is this? Like, all right, he's a werewolf. All right, so he's got a little comedy element. They all the goon squad, that's what I was calling them. They all have their the elements. Like Bell, he had the roller skates.
Vampires on roller skates is peak 80s.
Oh, God, yes.
That would be
That's
peak 80s.
Peak 1980s.
And it hits too. Well, Prince, when I saw the guy dressed as Prince stalking the woman in the beginning, I was like, this is definitely going to be something I enjoy watching. This movie, if they've got the balls to put somebody in this exact outfit with the Jerry curl and everything, we're going to have a good time. And that's exactly what he does. He stalks her. Oh, I dropped the food order and my shoes are untied. Better stop and die. And then he's just like purple raining down the hall of the corridor to come get her.
Just the scene of her tying her shoe, and as she's just taking her time, she's just looking, she's like, and he's just like rolling there with his nails out.
Yeah. That's another peak 80s horror moment where it's just like the unsuspecting, but it's not meant to be scary. Maybe it was at the time, but it comes off super funny now.
Yeah.
That feels like it was written for comedy.
It reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I'm expecting Freddy to come down with rollerblades, screeching the blades across it. It got that reference because I think 3 and 4 came out right after that. They were working on 5, so little connection right there, especially going against the locker, because that was seen in the 3rd film. But also the guy who plays
The Spartans.
Bosworth, Brian Thompson. I know him from the X-Files as the alien bounty hunter, which I see you're doing the heart sign. I love the man too. Just him eating bugs. I was like, oh, he's doing his own version of Renfield.
Muscular, square-headed Renfield. I love
Nice.
Brian Bosworth.
This was the first time I've heard him
He's
talk.
just been in Brian Bosworth. Brian Thompson. I combined 2 names and got a football player. So the Boz eats a lot of bugs.
That's how you know you gotta love him. Bug-eating Boz. So we have the goon squad coming through, and that it instantly makes you enamored with the movie. The not ugly girlfriend doesn't hurt. The not ugly angry villainess doesn't hurt. And then thinking she's the wife from Total Recall will also, not the wife, the girlfriend he makes, by the way. The wife is Sharon Stone. Total Recall. I'm not that much of an idiot, but I've got to look up the actress's name now in that movie because I totally thought it was her. But this is Weird Science era, right? Like we're getting into that where they're pandering to nerds in that way, and it's landing very well. So they stacked this movie, and the Goon Squad comes in. There's like this hilarious group, and they do a lot of pervy stuff in the beginning. Not a lot, but enough to make it funny. And when's the first twist in the movie where they up the ante a little bit?
The dream scene. I feel like because what I like about it is you have Charlie, and this is pretty different for a sequel, is he's questioning, right? Jerry Dandridge is a serial killer. Vampires don't exist. Peter Vincent's like, no, they do exist, Charlie. He's like, no, you're just a crazy old man. And then he has a dream of Regine, and he's like getting bit on the neck, and you get the fang and the little wound. And he wakes up, he's like, oh, it's just a dream. Watching it, I'm like, all right, it was a dream. And then you see the blood flowing, you're like, oh, no, it wasn't. She has bitten him. And I like that transformation, too, as he's, like, going through it, and he's slowly turning into a vampire, and he doesn't know it because he thinks it's all fake.
Which is cool, the gaslighting. Yeah. Well, that's the thing that's weird about it, though. There's werewolves working in this movie. So for the longest time in the beginning, I thought that they were all werewolves. And they're not. They're not. And then you have him slowly turning throughout the movie, which was pretty cool too. I enjoyed that aspect of it. I think that helps make this movie work much better because that's a different vibe than the first one, but it's still a gaslighting vibe. You got to remember Fright Night, the whole time in Fright Night, he's aware of the danger and nobody else believes him. So how do you keep that rolling? This was a clever way to do it again, I think. Who's the first person to believe him in Fright Night 2? And start helping him out.
I think it's kind of Peter Vincent again with his mirror trick for the second time. They're in that, and Charlie makes him crash the party, and Regine Dandridge is doing her little seductive performance art stuff, and Peter is convinced it's not real again. And then after Charlie leaves, he takes the mirror out, and he's like, "Oh, she's not there."
That was a nice dance scene.
That'll do it.
It was a nice homage to the first Fright Night when Regine's dancing with Charlie, because it's like showing, but she's also trying to prove that she's not a vampire. She's like, it's just an act, throwing the fake teeth out and all that. But it leads to, as we're saying, Peter Vincent finding out, and it gives a nice scene between Roddy Dowell and Julie Carmen when she's like, I'm Jerry Dandridge's sister. And the performance is very well done. Her whole performance in the entire movie is well done. I think she was nominated for a Saturn Award, which focuses on science fiction, horror, fantasy, for that role. So, and it shows. She nails it.
You're a true lover of the art form, and it comes through when you talk about it, Ryan. It's nice to see. Let's talk about our first episode was Nosferatu, and what's up for a couple Academy Awards?
The mustache.
Nosferatu. The mustache itself is. Did you see the picture they chose to use in the list of all the movies? It's full porn stash Orlok. It's just climbing towards you, like ready to stash you up.
With his little tattoo in the corner.
Kinda. Like, I think you can see it.
It looks like a Tinder profile. He's like trying to get the attention. He's like, I have a big mustache and a tattoo.
Tinder profile. Do you think stashes like that work well on Tinder? Do you think they swipe right or left on stashes that are
It depends.
that big?
It depends on his bio. I feel like he's like the two lies and the truth.
Right now, every horror goth girl is swiping for it.
Yeah.
If you have the Nosferatu mustache right now, you're in.
You're in right now. In his bio, it's just like with extra otter oil on his mustache. It's like swipe right vigorously for that one. I think the nominations or the nods were for Depp, if I'm not mistaken. One of them was. No,
I think she got snubbed,
dude?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Considering how lean the list is this year, it's so bad. There's not a lot of great films that are up this year. Wicked is obviously going to clean up because it's the Academy. And I mean, I don't want to get into it too much, but good books, great play, movie. They sure did make a movie. Why does it need 10 nods? Why?
I will take your word on that. I'm kind of excited to see The Substance getting some nods too.
Yes.
Substance is up there, and there's another one that people were complaining about. The one that's based on Amelia Perez. They're really pissed about that. People are pissed that it's been nominated because it's a bad movie, and B, it's apparently disrespectful to Amelia Perez the way they did it. So awesome. And then they snub. They kind of do this thing to us in the horror community when we get a movie with nominations. They're like, you should be happy with the shit we gave you. So they gave us 2 nods or 2 noms for Nosferatu, but I can think of costume design. I can think of special effects immediately. Those are 2. And then the acting was supposed to have been quite good in it, particularly from Depp, right?
Yes.
There's 2 actors in particular who do a great job. Neither one of them is a Skarsgård, but he doesn't need to because he's a shadow for most of the movie, and it's fine.
Not Nicholas
You know
Hoult.
who I'm talking about. It's Defoe.
Oh, okay.
No, it's Depp. I mean, it's Depp is phenomenal in it. It's a kind of her breakout role, I think, to be honest with you. It shows what she can do, and she's the only one holding up the storyline for an hour and 10 minutes. Maybe.
So she'll be the classical horror scream queen, as Mia Goth is like the modern horror scream queen in that way. If that's a good
Maybe
reference.
it's not a scream queen thing. No, it's
Okay.
a deep story. Her character has super depth. It's exactly what we predicted in the first episode. And she has to play basically 3 different roles in the movie. For her not to get a Best Actress nod is ridiculous, in my opinion.
I was gonna say if it follows the original Nosferatu story, she should be very heroic. And if that's the case, and I mean her father's Johnny Depp. I mean, I love Johnny Depp. Just shout it out. Been a fan since Nightmare on Elm Street. Didn't get into the whole 21 Jump Street craze, but she's following. If that was her mentor, her father, she definitely probably nailed the role. And as it's shown, especially in the 79 version, that role is very important. And to get the ignored, it's a slap in the face. But that's what Hollywood
That's
does. Hollywood slaps people in the
We're not
face.
even sure, though. We're not even sure.
So
It'd be funny if I look it up right now.
the nominations were production design,
Okay.
best
Gross.
makeup, cinematography, and costume design.
Okay, so I
4.
did predict 2 of them.
It got 4.
But they're all for crew. None of them are for. So I want to just pull up Best Actress and just run through that real quick.
I don't think I've seen any of them.
Yeah, I have not seen any yet.
25 list. Demi Moore in The Substance.
Okay.
Cynthia Erivo in Wicked. She'll probably win it too. And then they may give it to Demi because they're like, you have so much Botox. This is your last chance.
Yeah, this could
Um,
be the Demi Moore Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah. They didn't do that for Meryl. Oh my God, her face. They have to figure out a way to get the fat under like the right parts of the skull or in the skin. It's just not looking good to me.
Wasn't that the idea of the
To be fair.
substance to make her look better?
Maybe actually, yeah. I'm looking roadside attractions. No, this is like all of them. Other contenders. Angelina Jolie, Maria, Netflix didn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah, Lily Rose Depp was 17th in the voting. That hurts. Kirsten Dunst, 19 in Civil War. She behaves the entire time like she just woke up from a nap. Amy Adams in Night Bitch. Yeah. Zendaya and the Challengers. Like these are all kind of there. I can see that. But I think Pamela Anderson having a higher chance in The Last Showgirl is an interesting one than Lily Rose Depp.
Where was Elizabeth Berkley's nomination then for Showgirls, the original Showgirls? Okay. Pamela Anderson getting a higher
We're
ranking.
still waiting.
It-
think she got the raspberry for
still
that
waiting.
one.
Yeah, oh, yes, she did.
Her walking out to puke was wild in that movie. Just full vom.
I consider that an alternate universe where Jessie Spano kept taking the pills and then she became a stripper. That's how I see it. It's a spiritual sequel to Saved by the Bell, everyone.
So this is brutal. This is brutal on a lot of levels. To give you an idea, Marianne Jean Baptiste is for The Hard Truths. I think 4 people may have seen that movie.
Never even heard of it.
I'm still here. Fernanda Torres, Cynthia Erivo in Wicked, which is an expected one. Mikey Madison and Enora, a Neon movie. So if that's Neon, is that a horror movie that we have yet to see?
No, I've never heard of her or the movie.
Same here.
It is
No,
a
we're
comedy
calling them up.
romance, 2 hours and 19 minutes.
All right. So that one it's super interesting. And then to be more in the substance. Okay. I'm properly upset by that. Anyway, though, we segued into this like 15 minutes ago because we were excited that an actress was nominated for a great performance in a horror movie in 1988. And presumably that was going to be happening again. And it did not happen for Nosferatu. Do you think it's because it's a remake?
I wouldn't consider that. I mean, if you can make it to your own and I mean, follow a similar story. Like I always go with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2003 one Michael Bay produced. They change a little bit of the story from the original one, but it still has the essence of the original film of the Sawyer family and how Leatherface is and certain rules, and it nails it. I feel like Nosferatu, I haven't seen it yet, but minus the mustache, the other characters do nail what the whole story is and the build and the how it plays out at the end is a
Mustache is fine. By the way, we're just being dicks because we wanted Bat. We wanted Man Bat Nosferatu Warlock like we were used to. We wanted to get a taste of exactly what we were expecting. That's what we wanted. And we got Porn Stash Warlock. And you know what? He's growing on me. So that's fine. As I'm more into the fact that it was actually a decent movie and that Skarsgård doesn't ruin it, which is great. And, you know, he does a good job. He did a great job as Pennywise. Did he do as great as Tim Curry? Rest his soul.
Oh, he's still alive. He's still alive.
Oh, still? He's still there? All right. We're going to check back in next week.
He's not going anywhere.
Still with us. So Tim Curry, you keep taking your vitamins and you keep on keeping on, buddy, because we loved you as the original Pennywise. Who's playing Pennywise in the show in Derry?
Bill Skarsgård.
It is going to be Skarsgård.
It's going to be Skarsgård. Yep.
We can up those monies.
He's definitely going to do a couple episodes. It's going to be backwards though. It's going backwards in time, and how the series is going to end is going to be how Pennywise became Pennywise. Because I know they kind of show that a little bit in the second part, where the guy removes his face and he's got the makeup, which is not in the book or anything. We know that Pennywise, spoiler, is from another dimension, being chased by a turtle.
Yeah, the turtle is the big. So if you guys are familiar with the Dark Tower lore, this right up here is all of the Stephen King books. It's a map of all of them. I started making that on my own because that's what kind of nerd I am. When I was much younger, I'd finished Dark Tower. If you guys know, Dark Tower 4 came out, The Wizard in the Glass, and then King stopped writing them for 20-something years. You know, he had to kick the speedball habit and all that stuff first and be a dad and everything, and respect to him. And then while that was going on, all the other books he was writing, though, are tied in directly. Like Hearts in Atlantis is a huge Dark Tower book, for example. Any movie with psychics or psychic powers is Dark Tower related. And the reason why is the bad guys are getting all the psychics to destroy the beams that hold up reality. Think of the tower as a giant center of a big wheel, and the wheel has spokes coming out. Each one of those spokes is a beam. Each one of those beams has a guardian animal, and one of those animals is a big fuck off turtle. And that turtle hates Pennywise, and that's who you're talking about. That's who wants to go kill him. And one of them, Shardik the bear, is in one of the books, Dark Tower books, where they have to deal with a corrupted version of one of those giant animals, and it's the bear. But the turtle is a big part of the lore, and that's what I'm guessing Pennywise running from the turtle and ending up in Derry in like 1880 is going to be the beginning. And it's a cool idea to go backwards to that. That's a really neat concept.
I feel like because, I mean, the second part, they kill him off. So it's like, where do you go from there? You can't go forward, so you got to go backwards. But to go backwards,
You don't really kill him.
Oh, true. I mean, he's probably in a.
You put him in a dormant state.
Yep. I was gonna say he's in a
Yeah.
whole other world, like literally. I'm thinking of this scene. I don't know which Dark Tower book it is. So the gunslinger sees the carnival, and it's the Pennywise carnival out in the distance.
That might be the final book in the
Is that the final
series
book?
because he meets a Pennywise-like creature. Well, he meets that creature in a house right at the end of the story in Dark Tower where he's coming in, but that one feeds off of laughter instead. And then there's an adjacent creature, the outsider, feeds off of sorrow. So that's why the outsider kills the kids, so that he feeds off of the mourning families. That's why he goes to the court dates and the funerals and stuff. He eats their sorrow. And there's another one, and if it bleeds, I don't remember what that one eats, but all of them eat a different emotion. And Pennywise obviously eats fear, and he gets the good stuff from kids because there's nobody who's so good at being afraid.
Wonder if he's going to write a book focused on if he'll introduce more of those entities basically and have it like a big book. You might have discovered something there where he's like building it up. King has that way to build up stuff slowly but surely.
He's got 4 of them already. If you go with that, by that count, there's 4. At the beginning, I thought that was Pennywise in the Dark Tower, but it's not. It does mention that he can eat both. I have to look at it now again because it does mention that he gets more, sates more hunger from laughter than from the other thing. So maybe it is Pennywise actually. And he would be an agent of the Crimson King. Crimson King's the big bad guy. He's like the biggest bad guy in the Dark Tower series. So good stuff. Sorry, big tangent. If you guys get me on the Kingverse, it gets a little wonky. But yeah, big ass turtle wants to eat Pennywise. Skarsgård's going to make some money on this series. That's a good idea.
Is this the Dark Tower with Idris Elba?
Yes, it is.
I heard Matthew McConaughey drove
That's a great movie.
He drove a Lincoln in that.
It was that movie literally felt like watching if you gave a bunch of high school kids a few $100s and a camera and said, make a Dark Tower movie and you can have the auditorium every Saturday for 5 weeks. And that would be what they came up with. They ruined it.
Well, wasn't it a sequel? Supposedly it was a sequel after the book's end, was what I read. I've only seen bits and pieces.
They use that as a fallback. So at the end of the Dark Tower series, to give you an idea, I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't finished it, but just consider it a cycle. Everything's a cycle. And that concept of Ka, which is fate, is a wheel and it turns and everything. That's in the whole Stephen King verse the whole time. So he obviously has a way of playing with the idea that this isn't Roland's first time going through trying to get to the Dark Tower. And this could be another version of him going through. That movie's a good example of what not to do, just like Fright Night 2011. Freaking garbage. But we knew it was going to be a pile of shit when they started producing it because they started with the excuses. As soon as they finished casting, people were bitching about the actor. I was like, don't bitch about the actor. Bitch about the fact that this isn't an 8-hour long epic because you can't do a movie like this, just one. It's got to be done Lord of the Rings style. And they were going to do that on Amazon. And then the bastards gave the money to Rings of Power. And we all see how that's going. It's going great.
Have you turned
season 2? Let's bring the Balrog back.
It's like, have you turned on the Ring of Power?
Very much so turned on the Ring of Power, Ryan. I am very much so against the Ring of Power. It's not doing a very good job. We watched the first season and it was okay. For the $100 million budget, it was not great.
Just to say Batman Cape Crusader was half of that. And that kicked ass. I'm just saying. Thank you, Amazon, for that at least.
One of the best, speaking of Batman, one of the best things I've watched in a long time was The Penguin.
Oh, God, yes.
And on HBO, sometimes you just nail it. What if we went kind of full Sopranos with it instead of like whiny goth Batman? What if we did that instead and really developed a character and did some great casting? What do you think that would be like? Fucking epic. Colin Farrell crushes that role too. It was so good.
The actor,
so good.
Actor, Theo Rossi, they were saying that his character is Scarecrow in that universe, and they show little hints at it for people who have seen The Penguin. It's a like little nod for what they're going to do for part 2, because part 2 is
that's a good idea.
There's just so much. I mean, the Hangman's still alive. Sorry, I'm going to go on a Batman tangent right now because Batman's my guy. But how they're going with part 2, just to see how the Penguin's at the top and how it might lead to the Court of Owls and the Joker lurking in the shadows. It's leading up, I think, to part 3, which will be Penguin, Joker, Riddler going against each other and Batman trying to stop it. It's a pipe dream and a classic story that they haven't done yet, at least for any Batman mythos.
That'd be good. All that development, character development stuff we saw with this is how they need to do Roland's complicated anti-hero character for Dark Tower, by the way. Just to segue back into that real quick before we put it to bed for the night, because he's a dick. And that's part of why you like him. He lets a kid die in the first book because his overall mission is more important. So he lets Jake die, and then Jake gets resurrected almost like to torture him further. He comes back to life knowing Roland let him die, and they have to travel together again. That's amazing. So he has forced character development throughout the entire thing where he's not allowed to go on alone, but he has to make bonds with people, which kind of hinders him the entire time, really. He was better as a dick, but that's like one of the great parts about watching his character develop. So anyway, moving on. They need to make a Penguin style thing for the Dark Tower.
Henry Cavill in a few years will probably be Roland after Warhammer 40,000 and his role as Garrus. You wouldn't want Henry Cavill as?
Who, Jack?
No.
No.
Okay.
I love Cavill, man. I get hot and sweaty for Cavill just like the best of us. But as far as it goes, Cavill cannot be Roland. He can't. He's too big. Roland is a Clint Eastwood type. He was written right off of Clint Eastwood. So you need the dude from Lawless.
Timothy Olyphant?
Yeah, Oliphant.
Okay.
He was the pick for the movie.
That would have been great.
Everybody wanted him too. Besides, it would have been epic, but he's too old now. So we missed the boat on him.
Don't say that. It's still 1997, and he just came out from Scream 2 as, spoiler alert, main villain, and it was awesome.
He was so good. What the hell was that crazy movie? Oh, where's the drug dealer? That was like his breakout role.
The Girl Next Door?
And he's crushed it and everything. No, he was good in that too. This is before The Girl Next Door. This is the one where it's a drug-addled night, and the dude from Party of Five is in it and stuff. It's an amazing movie.
He's sleazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's the sleazy drug dealer, and he ends up being like the hero at the end of it. In the beginning, he's going to kill them for stealing all of his ecstasy, and then at the end, he ends up kind of saving her, and I think they get together at the end. It's stupid, but it's great. It works. He's also in Perfect Getaway. He's great in Perfect Getaway.
Hitman?
No, Hitman was okay.
The first one, not Agent 47. That one is too action-packed. I feel Oliphant's, his version, gets it down in the beginning,
Yeah.
but then when he's protecting the hooker for the rest of the film, that's where it loses it. But in the
Yeah.
game, there is a mission where you have to actually do the same thing, but it's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, not 50 minutes of him not doing assassinations. Now, Hitman would work as a show, but that's a whole other story.
Okay. The movie's just called Go, by the way. Just Go. And it is a good movie, by the way. Watch Go. If you haven't watched Go yet and you're going to bang out of work one day this week just to screw off, rent Go. It's a good hang. Don't rent Fright Night 2011. Don't do that.
I was going to say what pops up for Fright Night is, I don't know if you guys remember Jefferson Valley Mall, bottom, close to the movie theater, there was a place called Suncoast Video, right between the movie theater as well as B. Dalton. And I saw the cover of this Fright Night. Now, there's two posters. There's one which is very similar to the first film with the apartment building with Regine's face over popping out. But
Right.
Regine, am I skipping on her name? Regine? Or Regine? Regine. All right. But I remember the all white cover where it's her eyes and like the fangs are protruding. And as a kid, it's very alluring. And I remember grabbing the videotape, the VHS tape, running to my uncle and be like, I need to see this film. It's like, it's because there's a woman on the cover. And I'm like, that's one of the reasons, but it's also a vampire film. So let's do this. But good old AMC. I'll just keep bringing that up. AMC Fright Fest.
Nah, we do need that back in kids' lives. The movie covers were it back then. It Lives, right? Isn't that a big one? Or They Live, rather, was one of the best movie covers, movie posters probably of all time. You think? That's at least
I agree.
iconic, if not one of the best.
They Live was great. It Lives too. There's a lot
It
of
Lives.
really, really awesome covers from back then.
Yep, they don't really put a lot of effort into them now. Now it's like screenshot covers. So let's put Fright Night 2 to bed here. The ending of Fright Night 2, we roll through. He realizes he's becoming a vampire. What does he do?
His new girlfriend and Peter Vincent kind of get all the equipment. They get holy water. They have stakes, everything and anything imaginable, and a rope in order for Peter Vincent to fly into the window heroically, to which he responds, I can't do that. I'm too old for that. So they climb through and basically a war ensues between them and the vampires. The first one to get it is Uncle Rico, sadly. He gets shot with the crossbow through the heart. And the greatest line I thought from him, which cracked me up, was, oh, you got me, dude. And then he just passes out in the water. He just dies. It's just like,
Not as good as Pee Wee Herman's death in the original Buffy, the movie, where he's kicking the wall for 10 minutes. He goes pretty quick. Uncle Rico, you'll be back, buddy. You'll be throwing footballs over that mountain in no time.
Selling Tupperware.
Peter Vincent really goes through it in this one too. He loses his job. He gets thrown in an asylum. Peter Vincent in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Nurse Ratchet.
He's got a fan in there. He's like, I love you, Peter Vincent.
I'm sure he
We're
does.
to kill vampires. That's what helps him get him out.
He's a Joe Bob Briggs. Well, I always go to Joe Bob Briggs because he was my Fright Night kind of guy. But who's the preeminent one? It's not Joe Bob, is it? Is he the guy?
At this point, I
Yeah.
think it might be.
Yeah, it's got to be him. But was there a dude who would stand behind creepy gates with a fog machine? Not really, right? This is just kind
Not
of made
really.
up for Fright Night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Joe Bob in a lawn chair with a beer and a bosomy co-host is kind of the real version of Fright Night, which is scary. Can you imagine Joe Bob Briggs being your only hope against a budding vampire epidemic?
I'll take it.
We'd probably believe you quicker.
He probably would. And he'd probably not give a shit way faster, too. We all die sometime, kid. Right, Joe Bob, thanks. All right, we're going to run Night of the Lepus again. If you guys haven't watched that one, we're going to definitely do an episode on Night of the Lepus when we go through. Because that movie, I must have watched it 30 times when it was on Monster Vision.
It's just a fuzzy little bunny rabbit.
Yeah, just murders. It looks like his leg was cleaved off with an axe. What has teeth as big as an axe? You see them crossing the tracks. Anyway, I took a buffalo stampede. So Fright Night 2 ends with, what does Charlie do? What does he decide to do?
They put the wafers in the coffin. Who is it? I don't think there's no holy water or anything, but there's definitely
Jesus
wafers.
Christ.
I know she's trying to land in her coffin. Regine, she's trying to get in. She's freaking out. But then she captures Charlie, and Peter Vincent does a smart thing with the mirror. Roddy McDowell, I don't know if they used a real mirror, literally almost cuts himself on film because the glass slips and you hear him go, oh! And the cool thing is when he reflects the light, it's different. Again, it's similar ending to the first one, of course, but it changes because you got the reflection and Charlie pulls her in. But why does she go in the coffin? She's trying to escape. Why go to your untimely death?
That's fair. It's fair point. Because they ran out of money and they needed to end the movie. That's why. And they weren't planning on doing a Fright Night 3.
It's coming. Resurrection. That's the rumor.
Yeah. Now, is that going to be a sequel to the 2011 or is that going to be a sequel to Fright Night 2?
Fright Night, Part 2, 1988. Tom Holland is supposedly writing it. He's just trying to find his niche to make it make sense.
All right, that's exciting.
But he wants everyone to come back, minus Roddy McDowell, of course, who sadly passed away to lung cancer years ago. But he's got William Ragsdale interested. He's got the gentleman who played Billy Cole interested, Chris Sarandon. Stephen Jeffrey is interested in coming back. I'm hesitant on Jeffrey because he's kind of been in and out of this industry doing other stuff.
Other stuff? What kind of other stuff?
A lot of Latin crotch rockets.
Oh, wow.
The title.
Latin crotch rockets.
I hope he's at some of the cons coming up. Sure, he's signing something out there. But all right, so we're gonna keep our eyes peeled for Fright Night 3. You guys have some top fives tonight?
I do too.
Let's do it. What do you got, Ryan?
So I went with top 5 80 horror movie sequels. I feel like since
Hell yes.
Fright Night Part 2 embodies the 80s for me when I saw the film. So I was like, let me recommend some of my favorite 1980 sequels that are worth watching. Top 5 start with Evil Dead 2. You can say that's like a quasi remake of the first one because Sam Raimi didn't have the rights, but he nails it. And with the comedy edge, it just brings the glory to what Evil Dead has become with, of course, Army of Darkness and Ash versus Evil Dead. Even with the new Evil Dead Rise, it's just great stuff. Number 4, one of my favorite Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, just because of the whole Frankenstein aspect, Tommy throwing the metal stake into him and bringing Jason back and them not believing him and the sheriff's trying to kick him out and they think he's a killer. It was a different blend for Friday the 13th, but it also made Jason the unstoppable monster that we love and know today. Number 3 is ironically Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, Welcome to Primetime, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've said
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
there's so many. I mean, the marionette scene where he's got the kid with the puppet, the return of Nancy, and it just worked. Plus, Wes Craven returned to write the script, which makes it even better. Number 2 is again, ironically, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. I am a big fan of the Hellraiser series and Clive Barker writing, of course, the first film and then having a hand in producing and leading the way for the second film led to a great sequel where it's like they're trying to understand what this hell is, what Pinhead is, and what the Cenobites is, and you learn that they're human. And it was like a nice connection to show like the monsters have a humanity to them. Number 1 will be Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. It has a special place in my heart, AMC Fright Fest. It was really the first Halloween I watched, and it's not the best one, but it's entertaining to see Donald Pleasant come back and Jamie Lloyd.
It captures the spirit of the first one very well, but also the time period. And her, when she's in the ash flume or the coal chute,
Yes.
is one of the scariest scenes in that franchise, in my opinion. The idea of being a little kid stuck in what's essentially an air vent with Mike Myers stabbing through the flimsy aluminum at you is horrifying. That was a good scene. And that movie also does dark well.
Oh, yeah.
It also has one of my favorite, like, goofy 80s moments in it when the locals are out hunting Michael Myers and they see something in the bushes and we counted it one time when I was in high school. It was like 30 something shots into that bush. And then the guy walks over and he looks in and he's just like, "Get Earl, it's Ted Hollister."
What was Ted doing in the damn bush? Do we remember?
He was hiding from Michael.
I don't think they ever explained.
No, they just killed him. Just killed him. It's fine.
So I got to throw this out for you, Ryan, since you're such a big fan. Arrow is releasing Hellraiser
nice.
Quartet of Torment.
Ooh.
Limited edition 4K.
Ooh. Hell yes.
Does it come with the box?
It looks beautiful. It does not come with a box, but I got to send you this link.
Please.
It is beautiful.
It's actually a movie. I'll say this. Hellraiser 1 and 2 got me through college. Like when I was getting my master's for teaching, every time I'd write a paper, what did I put on the background? Hellraiser 1 and 2, because it felt like hell sometimes writing those papers. I was like, I just want the chains to go through me. I don't want to write about differentiation anymore. Just take me.
I don't even remember.
That's a good segue
Getting
right there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's got one more, right?
Oh,
you got one last one for number 1?
Nope. Number 1 was
that was it.
Number 1 was Halloween
That was
4.
5.
It's all right. So segue. We got chains. Why is that a good segue, John?
Ryan in college, because I went with 5 movies set in college.
Oh, sweet.
So we'll start at 5. Pledge Night. So Pledge Night is 20 years after a fraternity hazing goes wrong. It could be just about any college movie. The current members of that frat are tormented by the dead pledge. One of my favorite little touches in here, you get a little moment of Joey Belladonna from Anthrax.
Okay, cool.
My number 4 pick is The House on Sorority Road, which we get another prank gone wrong, and it leads to sorority girls getting killed on their graduation party.
Which we all love, to be honest. That's very cathartic. Nobody likes
better.
sorority girls, not even other sorority girls.
My number 3 is Girls' Night Out. So we get a killer in a bear mascot costume.
Oh, sweet.
Hunting college kids out on a scavenger hunt.
That works.
It's actually a really good idea. I'm presuming, is it mostly in the woods or is it like grand scope?
It is all over the place. It's parties, it's outside, it's everywhere. And it's got Hal Holbrook.
Al Holbrook, who's that?
Hal Holbrook, the old school, like classic great actor guy who somehow later in life wound up in horror movies.
Interesting.
Hal Holbrook, he was the one in Superman. He's Lex Luthor's sidekick, right?
Oh, geez.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's in The Fog.
Yep.
He has the face. He has the horror movie face. He's older, though. I get it. He goes from Walter Cronkite to terrifying, ghoulish witch man. He looks like the owl from the early Tootsie Roll Pop commercials, everybody. In case you were wondering.
It takes 3
what
licks.
he might look like.
3 licks.
Yep. 1, and then he stabs you.
A 2, a 3.
You'll never see the center.
You are the center of the lollipop.
Yeah, you'll see. We'll put a picture of Hal Holbrook up for you.
Number 2 is Black Christmas, 1974. Only
Hell yes.
1974. If you're watching either of the other two, you are doing it wrong.
Correct.
Okay. Only 1974.
It's more sorority girls getting killed, but you've got Olivia Hussey, you've got Margot Kidder, and you've got one of my favorite cult horror B-movie actors, John Saxon, is in it.
Yep.
I love that
Okay.
dude. Ties in with Ryan's list again because he's Nancy's dad.
Yep.
Oh,
Nightmare.
got it. He's got a cool name too.
Yeah. Just the fact that it's directed by Bob Clark cracks me up. Bob Clark of Porky's
Mm-hmm.
and A Christmas Story fame.
Yeah. An interesting.
What a career. Just in 3 movies. What a span.
He reached into many different skill trees. I don't think he developed very far into each one. Kind of used the same exact ingredients to make each one of those movies, just a different genre. And what's number 1, dude?
Number 1, Night of the Creeps.
Yes. Nice.
Good choice.
Alien parasites turning college students into zombies who ruined Pledge Week in the Formal, starring my best friend, Tom Atkins.
Yeah. You love Tom Atkins.
Love Tom Atkins. I met him. Such a nice guy. And then, I met him, got an autograph. 2 or 3 hours later, I was walking by. He's like, "Hey, man, John." I was like,
Nice.
Tom Atkins
yes.
remembers me.
See, that's awesome.
That's a guy doing a
The
con
best.
right there. Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, this was kind of Xenomania episode on Fright Night 2 and Fright Night 2011, but really what it was us talking about a lot of different things that didn't have much to do with Fright Night 2011 or 2. But we hit the finer points of both movies and finer points of a lot of other things, like how in good horror movies, actors should be winning awards and how they need to actually do a faithful adaptation of The Dark Tower, and how Fright Night 3 is going to be coming out and Tom Holland's actually going to be writing the script. And that's going to be a big deal. That actually got me excited because I want to see that.
Well, it's going to be interesting too, just to say, because Chris Columbus is going to write and direct Gremlins 3. So I don't know. It looks there's a poster out.
Jump is not like
There's a poster out with a
Jump.
gremlin
Yeah.
with a gremlin claw with blood running down with 3 stripes. So I'm hoping he's going the horror route. But I mean, the second one, you had Hulk Hogan in it. Or are you going to have John Cena in this one? I don't know. It's a 50-50.
the second one was definitely an action movie. They went Rambo fun in that. And I was there for it. It was good. First one's definitely scary. The pool scene in the first movie screwed me up as a kid.
When they're all
That's a
cannonballing.
scary scene. Yeah.
I thought it was a
But
comedy.
Spike, and then it goes to Mohawk, right? The first evil gremlin is Spike,
Yes.
and the second one is Mohawk. So already the stakes are significantly lowered.
I hope the new one is Fro.
Fro gremlin. Well, now what do the kids have now? The broccoli cut? I hate everything. We have to end the episode before I start talking about the broccoli cut. All right, everybody.
Hold on, go find the teaser trailer for Return of the Living Dead. One of them has a teaser trailer out. It's coming out Christmas of this year.
Okay, so Return of the Living Dead, Fright Night 3, and Gremlins 3. Jesus. This could be really bad.
It could be a catastrophic year, or it could be a really good year. I'm leaning to mine is Gremlins 3, but if Fright Night Resurrection, but Return of the Living Dead, that's going to be a hit. Like the third part, that I'm betting
Will the
on that.
zombies be fast zombies? Will they be slow zombies?
Didn't look like they're going to be fast.
Okay, then there we go. Let's see how they make this work, because that's what we want.
Listen, they're not giving you a lot in the teaser trailer.
Is there a giant
like-
chicken making people zombies?
Where is not?
Are the Nazi zombies giving their hearts to everybody? Is that what's happening?
There's no one giving anyone a heart,
Nobody's giving anybody a heart. Well, I'm giving you the listeners my heart today.
but it will definitely connect because one of the iconic Return of the Living Dead characters is in it.
Should we spoil that or no?
I'll let you watch it and find out.
Oh, sweet. All right, everybody. Well, this was Xenomania, Fright Night 2, Fright Night 2011, New Blood. All right. Take it easy. We'll see you next week when we talk about
We're going to be talking about
My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody Valentine for Valentine's Day.
the original and the remake. Get your 3D glasses ready.
And go out and get some edible arrangements, you bastards. See you later.
See ya.